Hello, I'm Sweetie Biscuit, and this is my submission video for AGDQ 2019. This will be Crypt of the NecroDancer Amplified Coda All Zones. While Coda All Zones has made an appearance before, back in, I think it was AGDQ 2016, it was a very different context. That was pre-DLC, and the metagame was much about finding the Ring of Phasing and using that to cheese out much of the game. With the Amplified DLC, the Ring of Phasing was removed, which actually makes the run considerably more challenging, and that's not even considering the fact that now there's an extra zone and a new boss and all sorts of new stuff to deal with in the with the DLC. I'm gonna just start the video, let it kind of speak for itself as I just explain what's going on here. So yeah, here's the start of the run. We start in Zone 1. Which is where the most basic enemy types are. It's a pretty straightforward cavern zone where rooms are just connected to each other. I dig out the corner of those secret rooms so that I can see if there's bats hidden in them, and I actually see that there's bats, but I can also, looking at the minimap, see that there's a hidden chest on the right of this room, so gotta get in there and pick up a Ring of Shielding, which is a nice bit of safety. Makes it so that Greater Shield spell activates if I take damage once. Bats move randomly, so are really dangerous to work with in this context, but able to handle them there with certain methods of movement give you a little more time to react to their random movements. So I should probably explain both the game and the character a little bit. Crypt of the NecroDancer is a rhythm-based dungeon crawler. It's kind of a turn-based adventure game where every turn is put on a clock that matches the tempo of the song. And in most cases, like in the standard play, it's just on the downbeats. It's every quarter note. And you have a lot of options. You can get new equipment. You get weapons that increase your range, or your weapons of better materials with higher damage. You can waste beats with minimal penalty if if you decide that the best move you can make is just to not move at all. But this is Coda. This character combines all of the challenge characters from the base game into one. You've got Arya, who is restricted to the basic Iron Dagger. There are no other weapons available for pickup, so just a 1 damage short range weapon. In addition, Arya is permanently on half a heart of health and cannot raise that health in any capacity, which means that she'll die to any incoming damage. And additionally is not allowed to skip beats. And skipping beats includes doing invalid actions like attempting to dig a wall that you can't, or attempting to attack like a phased out ghost, for instance. A lot of things that can kill you there. Also adds in Monk, who is the Vow of Poverty challenge character, which means you can't touch gold or you die instantly. And also adds Bolt, which makes the game run at double tempo. So yeah, there's a lot to consider here. It all combines to a very challenging character. Definitely the hardest in the game. But despite initially being believed to be impossible by the devs, she's actually quite doable once you get a hang of her. I'm definitely the most consistent Coda player there is, and I'm looking to show it here. Anyway, we finished the first boss, Fortissimo. Boss order is random, and depending on the order you get them in, they'll have little differences in the fight. So Fortissimo, for instance, has ghosts in Zone 1, or wind mages and golems in Zone 2. So Zone 2 here is kind of got the fungal theme here. A lot of high HP enemies here. Worth adding that while you can't get a better weapon with higher damage, you can get other equipment that increases your damage. So I've got these spiked ears here, which give you +2 damage. The downside is that they break if you ever drop a beat. But for Coda, who already dies when she drops a beat inherently, that's not too big of a deal. I pick up the monocle there, which lets you see all items. Excuse me, helps you establish a build more. But then I kind of realized that on second thought, I have the spiked ears and they're my only damage up source, so I'm gonna stick with that. Coming up on the second boss here, we got the Earth spell, which allows for a really easy quick kill. You just walk up and crush them against the wall. Very easy kill. The Earth spell is very strong at killing bosses like that. A little tough to use outside of boss fights when But yeah, but Earth Spell basically will push enemies back, and if they can't be pushed, whether because they're like frozen to the ground, or there's something blocking the other side, then they get crushed and killed instantly. It's very powerful when applied correctly, but a little underwhelming when all it does is push. And we're on Zone 3, which is a pretty dangerous zone. It's a very open zone. It's prone to swarms with a lot of fast-moving enemies. There's also a lot of floor hazards, ice and hot coals. Ice will cause you to slide uncontrollably when you step on it, and hot coals will deal damage to you if you ever stand still on them for any reason, whether you attack or just waste a beat or whatever. You'll take damage while standing on hot coals. That said, I picked up the glass slippers earlier on in the run, which provide immunity to all terrain hazards. The downside to the glass slippers and any glass equipment in general is that it breaks when you take damage. But that's not a downside for Coda at all, as again, she can't take damage without dying outright. So, you know, there's no additional risk that isn't already inherent with the character. Also got the heavy glass armor. Glass armor, unlike other armor, rather than just reducing damage, will prevent it entirely. There's glass armor, which only prevents one hit. Heavy glass is pretty strong. It prevents 3 hits of damage. I lose 1 chunk of the heavy glass there, attacking death metal, and with a skeleton rider behind me. So a little bit of a safety loss there, but still 2 hits of safety. That said, stuff like the glass armor does not protect against the Vow of Poverty deaths or the Misbeat deaths, so got to be really careful about those. So conjuring rings here, looking for a better ring. I pick up the Ring of Peace, which is probably what I consider the best ring. Ring of Peace will lower the enemy count and change all future mini-bosses to be their weakest version. So like all dragons will be green instead of a blue, red, or earth dragon. Which green dragons are just a simple 4 HP enemy that moves every other beat, while the other dragons have certain special attacks that you gotta watch out for. The lower enemy count is also really good. It also increases your max health, but obviously that doesn't matter on Coda. Can't get any more max health than just the half a heart you are stuck with. So, Shrine Mimic here, picking up a crystal shovel. Strongest shovel in the game, can dig pretty much any wall except for the shop walls. So just go ahead and swap off that. Again, you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you want to dig walls, but you don't have the shovel for it, because trying to run into a wall that you can't dig will count as a misbeat. So this is 4-3. It's the fastest non-boss song in the game. Fastest song in the game is actually Death Metal, which we had as our 3rd boss. And as such, this is a pretty difficult floor, probably the most challenging floor in the run. I get lucky though, and there's a potion spawn here, which we can just get into for free with the new potion that we picked, or the new crystal shovel that we picked up earlier. So these goblin bombers can only move diagonally, which means you can't follow me through that gap. Makes it a little easier to deal with. Got this ogre here. They have a pretty long-ranged club attack, so gotta make sure I'm not in range of that when I go to attack it. Picked up the Wrist Charm, which is a free +2 damage. Wrist Charm gives you extra damage when you are at minimum health, when you're at a heart and a half. But again, Coda can't be at more than a heart, half a heart. Not a heart and a half, just a half heart, excuse me. So it's just a free 2 damage. So coming up in King Konga here. King Konga has an unusual beat map where you gotta wait a couple of beats at the end of every measure. As long as you're aware of it, it's not too hard to deal with. Just gotta get him off the throne, either by killing all the zombies or destroying the throne, and then kill him afterwards. So we're on the final zone, Zone 5. Zone 5 is actually generally easier than Zone 4. The songs are a little slower, and if you stand on the wire, all of your attacks have an electric property that causes a chain lightning to come out and deal damage to any enemies touching the enemies you're targeting, which makes crowd control pretty easy. These skulls that break into multiple skeletons are pretty easy to deal with when you're on the wire. So 5-3, the last regular floor. Got one more boss after this. It's a pretty fast song, 155 BPM, just 5 BPM slower than 4-3. These mages can be pretty tough to deal with. The electro orbs move fast and can be pretty hard to predict. But we got Deep Blues here. Just got to kill the king here, and I have the damage to one-shot him with a throw, so just throw at him. Normally that's a problem against Deep Blues because the king drops gold, and that's gold under your dagger, and you can't pick it back up. But since it's the last floor of the game, I can do so freely and finish out the run. So yeah, again, Coda is an extremely challenging character, very impressive, was very successful when she was a very well liked run when Coda was run a few years ago, and again, a lot's changed with the Amplified DLC. With phasing gone, you actually have to directly fight enemies in the later games, which the last AGDQ run pretty much used phasing to trivialize combat from mid-zone 2 onward. Um, it's a lot more challenging, but I've improved a lot more as a runner, and I'm fairly confident that I can bring you guys a Coda clear, which I think will be pretty exciting to see this supposedly impossible character that only about a little over a dozen players, I think, have cleared post-DLC, if even that. Not just cleared, but cleared it pretty quickly. This 8-minute time I put down, I believe, is like a top 3 time. So yeah, should be a pretty good watch, and I hope you guys consider it. You know, it'll be fun. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys.